Hey YouTubers, it's me again, Bonita y Morena, and I'm going to be making a video review of Belle. Belle is a movie about a character in history named Dido Belle, and she was a woman who grew up in like basically in England during the time of slavery. Um, Her mother was a slave from a West African country. I'm not exactly sure which country. You can actually look her up on Wikipedia, or Wikipedia is not the best source, but like you can look her up in the internet and find out more about her. I'll post a link down below. But the movie just is about her growing up, what she had to deal with, the whole race issue because she's a biracial woman in this time period in England. It was kind of like I wouldn't say it's the Victorian era because that's way too far. It's like the 1800s or something like that, around that time period, because I'm pretty sure it might have been earlier, but like it was around the time of slavery, so something like that. But anyways, she inherits a lot of wealth because her father is a captain, I think, and he leaves her family. Her family's like, they're wealthy, so he leaves all of his fortune to her. Meanwhile, her mother was poor. She was like a slave, and she, the father kind of slept with her, and then he was like in love. I don't really know if they were in love, but they had her out of love, and he didn't know where she was until I guess he found out that she was still alive, that she survived, that she was born, and he went to the slum where her mother was living at, because they both, basically her parents interacted on a slave ship, I think, when the slave ship was I can't remember what happened, but like they didn't explain that part too well, and that wasn't a part of the movie. It was just briefly explained at the beginning of the movie. But yeah, so he finds out she's alive, and he claims her and takes her to live on this estate, really fancy, like high class estate, to live with his uncle, and his aunt, and her cousin. And she grows up into this, sophisticated young lady who's like very well educated and, well mannered, and she knows all the she has all the social graces of any other young woman her age. Only fortunate thing is that she's mixed and no one else not very few people know about her. She kind of hides when company comes over, like when other lords and ladies come to visit or whatever, she has to hide. So, because her uncle is like a top lawyer, like I guess you could say he's like a supreme lawyer or something. And yeah, but then over time he gives her more freedom. People see her. They have to kind of marry, because they have to marry off her cousin, and also they have to marry off her. That's what they did in those days. Women were kind of married off into like richer families, and so you had to choose a very good family and kind of present yourself to society, and then find a suitable mate. And your parents, that guy would ask your family to marry you, and then you'd be set for life, basically. But in her case, she's a richer. Her cousin is kind of a illegitimate child, whereas you'd think that she would be seen as an illegitimate child because she's half black, but her father actually claimed her, and he loved her and wanted her to be his daughter. Whereas her cousin's father, who's white, they're both, both of her parents are white. Her father didn't claim her at all, so she didn't get any wealth at all. And there's this kind of contention between them because of it, because they seem so equal from the time they're children to this time they're adults, except for skin color. Like, they were treated the same, but Dido was obviously treated like she was different because of her skin color. But her family still loved her and took care of her, but they still made her aware that, they kind of sheltered her in the beginning, but as she became an adult, like, you're different, your skin color is different, but we still love you. We still see you as a human being, but obviously they had maids who were black, so it was just awkward for Dido and the maids, obviously, but the maid was very sweet to her. But yeah, so her cousin was kind of jealous of her because she had wealth, even though she was half black. She had more wealth, and people wanted to marry her because of that wealth. They wanted to inherit that wealth, and you find out that she doesn't want to be. She wants to be set, but she doesn't want to be married to a guy who just wants her money. But at the same point, she doesn't want to be an old maid who has to take care of the state, like one of their governess lady who takes care of them, like her. But yeah, I mean, like throughout the movie, she meets this guy named John Danier or Gagne or something, and he's this lawyer. Oh, he wants to become a top lawyer like her uncle, and he falls in love with her, and yeah, it's kind of a happy ending because spoiler alert, yeah, um, he just falls in love with her and things work out despite the whole race thing. He accepts her for who she is. He doesn't look down at her because she's half black. He actually is happy. He thinks she's beautiful. He respects black people. He wants them to get out of slavery. He wants to help get them out of slavery and end slavery. And so they're kind of the perfect match for each other. He's a kind, sweet, loving person, kind of like her father, basically. So yeah, I really like that movie because it showed just black people in England when at a time when a lot of people in history, like nowadays, they don't know about history. They don't know about English history. They don't know that there's a lot of figures in not just English but European history who were of color, who were black, who were maybe Asian, who were whatever, not Asian, but like black or half black, whatever. Like, and a lot of people don't know about them because their pictures are kind of hidden, and now they've kind of become more visible. And yeah, or sometimes the pictures were lightened, as in their complexion was lightened, so that even though it's possible for someone who has a black mother, or for someone who has a black mother and a white father, or vice versa, it's possible for them to come out looking completely white. But majority of those historical figures, it was obvious that they had a black parent as well as white parents. So a lot of their pictures were lightened and their skin was lightened so that there was appearance of just pure European blood. That's it. So yeah, I like how the movie addressed that. They addressed the whole race thing without like pretending it wasn't a problem for her and kind of dancing over that fact. And they addressed the whole sexism, misogyny that women have to go through during that period, and they kind of go through similar misogyny today when it comes to like marriage and who you have to marry and how it supposedly defines you, which it does in a way, but in those days it was even harsher because women didn't have the right to get higher education or get higher paying jobs than men or anything like that. So I love that about the movie, and I just love the fact that the director, who's actually she's a producer. Sorry, I'm not sure if she directed the movie also, and wrote the script and everything. She's a black woman. She's a black woman. I think she's of African descent. I'm not sure if she's Ghanaian or Nigerian, but she's British, but of African extract, whatever. But I'm glad she wrote that movie because it's like showing a woman who's half black, whatever, black, of, in a very respectable, classy way, but also showing the layers to her character and showing the different people in her life, but showing her in that time period and, with the beautiful dresses and the classy, beautiful dresses that they wore during that period. But what I loved is that they didn't kind of degrade her by showing like this sex scene where she's like having sex with her man or whatever. They didn't do any of that, or having sex with someone, because I feel like they try to do that with black female characters a lot in movies. And there's nothing wrong to show sexiness or, show sexual intercourse and showing people in a romantic view, but I find that this is more of a romantic gaze and less about just the sexual aspect. It's more about the romance, and I love that because there's less and less movies of romantic genre that focus on black women. It's more like a sexual romantic genre. And so that's what I liked about this. So yeah, I definitely recommend watching Belle. It was such a wonderful movie, very romantic, and it's also based on history too. So yeah, more videos to come.